Good morning. Whether you're at home attending from on Zoom or here today in the sanctuary, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. My name's Dirk Matthias, and I'll be your worship leader today. We are an inclusive community that affirms the mind, heart, and body in our search for truth and meaning. Here you will find both comfort and challenge for your spiritual journey. Whatever your age, income, or the color of your skin, you are welcome here. Whatever your sexual orientation, gender identity, or life story, you are welcome here. If you're full of joy today, or if your heart is hurting, you are welcome here. If your beliefs differ from mine, but you are called to love, you are welcome here. As part of that commitment, please be aware that we are in the summer of our worship calendar. And in order to give our RE teachers a much-deserved break, our summer services are for all ages. Mark and I have spoken about this and adjusted our service accordingly. We have family spaces all around the sanctuary where families are welcome to make themselves comfortable. If you do take advantage of these spaces, we'd ask that you provide supervision and ask your children to be especially quiet during quiet times of reflection and meditation. I also want to share publicly on behalf of those who are not parenting at this time that we are deeply empathetic and supportive of the important work you're doing as parents. As such, we trust that you are going to do your best to support the important spiritual work of this congregation, and we promise to be understanding and graceful if things during that time aren't totally silent. We have a guest in our congregation this morning. I am very happy to introduce Mark Levy.
It's Levy, but I'll still play.
I'm glad we're getting that taken care of right now. Mark's been collecting, writing, and singing songs for over 50 years that focus attention on the many issues that are facing humankind. His programs have been heard throughout the country and abroad as he travels with his strong voice and many instruments. He regularly performs for Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Florence, Oregon, where he now lives, and brings his music to other communities as well. We'll turn it over to Mark for our opening song, I Felt Love. Mark?
All right. You'll notice that I'm playing a 12-string guitar. You're not seeing double. I just felt it was easier to tune than bringing a piano like that. This is a song that I wrote back in 1987 called I Felt Love, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story. There was a guy in Sacramento, he was a student in one of the colleges there, I think it was Sac City, but I'm not exactly sure, named Greg Withrow, who was part of the Aryan Student Union there. Yeah, and why did I write a song about him? Well, I'm going to tell you. They claimed responsibility for a lot of violence against people with different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds that weren't acceptable to the white nationalism that they preferred. But in the spring of 1987, Greg Withrow fell in love with a woman for the first time. And that brought him around to starting to feel love for others, other than just the woman he was with. Her name was Sylvia. Her parents were Holocaust survivors. That's significant because a lot of the stuff they spouted was anti-Semitic. And he went on Oprah and People Are Talking, Good Morning America. He was in People magazine, complete with the swastika on his shoulder, which he showed people, speaking out against what he had formerly stood for. And he paid some price for it. Some of his ex-compatriots from the Klan and other groups like the Nazis beat him up a few times and left him for dead once. They had actually nailed him to a cross, which, I don't know if you heard this story. It made national news, and he was rescued by a black couple, which again was significant for him. And he went on undaunted, and I did talk to him. I wrote to him first, and then I called him, and I got a lot of information about why he did such things and how the change came about. So here's the song. Well, I used to preach white power and that freedom only come by teaching kids to hate blacks and Jews and how to fire a gun. It was Aryan revolution and a race war to the death. If it hadn't been for Sylvia, I'd never caught my breath. But now I found love and will never return. Love's a long, hard road, but it's not too late to learn. I used to stand for violence, now I know the score. And I don't want to fight for hate no more. It was from a very early age that I was taught to hate the mixing of the races and the power of the state. I grew to be a leader in white supremacy, but now the Nazis and the Klan are not the way for me, because I felt love will never return. Love's a long, hard road, but it's not too late to learn. I used to stand up for violence, but now I know the score. And I don't want to fight for hate no more. Now the love of a woman is a very healing thing. Well, it made this angry man to laugh and his empty heart to sing. I began to feel for others what I felt for her so strong. It made me see that preaching hate and hurting folks was wrong. So I felt love can no longer return. Love's a long, hard road, but it's not too late to learn. Used to stand for violence, now I know the score. And I don't wanna fight for hate no more. Yes, my days of hate are over, and I never will turn back. I can no longer hurt someone because his skin is black. It's gonna be a long, hard road, but I have changed my ways. Love can do the same for you, and hope will shed its rays. When you feel love, you will never return. Love's a long, hard road, it's not too late to learn. You'll no more stand for violence once you know the score. And you won't want to fight for love no more, for hate no more, rather. We want to fight for, it's early in the morning. We definitely want to have love in our lives and not fight for hate. We'll edit that in the recording. Yes, you'll feel love, you'll no longer return. Love's a long, hard road, it's not too late to learn. And you'll no more stand for violence once you know the score. You won't want to fight for hate no more. No, you won't want to fight for hate no more. We're not gonna fight for hate no more.
Thanks, Mark. The words for our chalice lighting today will be offered by Nancy Tyler, with Tere Pelaez lighting the chalice.
Our chalice lighting words come from Goethe, and also Dorothea Kaufman. It takes a village, so I'm wearing borrowed glasses. If not the eye was like the sun, it could not see the sun's majestic shine. If not God's magic was in everyone, who could rejoice or anything divine? From the bottom of my very existence, I am pervaded with light energy, shining colors to my eye, warmth to my skin, inspiration to my soul. In this unity of creative sparks and sparkling creation, life unfolds. Let us open our senses to the light within and around us and send it out with shining examples into the world.
Please rise now in body or spirit and join in singing Spirit of Life.
Am I playing this? Oh, okay.
You got it,
Let me get that music here. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Do you do the whole thing?
That's it.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, that's what we do, one verse. Okay. No. Less work for Mother.
All right. Let me see, I'm looking around for, it's time for all ages. And it's a twofer. So we've got a story, and we have a song. Mark's going to lead us on a song that features the banjo. So if there are folks who would like to join us down here on the koi pond carpet, please make your way down now. But we also have the storybook projected up here, and then Mark will lead us in his version of May There Always Be Sunshine and This Little Light of Mine.
Just enough time to get the strap on. Oh, okay. Is this on? Okay. All right, good. All right, that's all right if you missed that. Well, you don't have to be children to sing this song. How many people know this song, May There Always Be Sunshine? Few people, and the rest of you will know after we're done. So, may there always be sunshine. May there always be blue skies. May there always be mama. May there always be me. Pretty much the whole thing. May there always be sunshine. May there always be blue skies. May there always be mama. May there always be me. Well, this song was written for an international peace conference in Moscow, Russia. Boy, how things have changed since 1963. And Pete Seeger was there, and he brought it back with him. It had a lot more words in them, but they were all in Russian. So I debated as to whether I should sing this in the original language, but I think they need it over there. So, you know it. Pусть всегда будет солнце, пусть всегда будет небо, пусть всегда будет мама, пусть всегда буду я. Everybody. Osegda будет солнце, Osegda будет небо, Osegda будет рано, Osegda буду я. In English, may there always be sunshine, may there always be blue skies, may there always be mama, may there all, that's what I'm hearing in Russia and the Ukraine, may there always be, may there always be blue skies, may there always be mama, may there always be me. Now this next song comes from the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. It actually predates it, but became a little bit more popular, and it's another easy one to sing. Now let me see if I can just remember how it starts. What was the one I was going to do now?
This little light of mine.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And, you know, this is early for me and for most musicians. So that's enough to say about that. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it, everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it. I've got the light of freedom. I've got the light of freedom. I'm gonna let it shine. I've got the light of freedom. I'm gonna let it shine. Talk about the light of freedom. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. All over the whole world. All over the whole world. I'm gonna let it shine. All over the whole world. I'm gonna let it shine. All over the whole world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it, glory, hallelujah. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Sing it again, that last line. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. All right, watch out now. Let it shine. Oh, let it shine. People, let your little light, let your little light shine. Woo!
Thank you, Mark. Well done. On the spirit of freedom, and Mark and I will talk a little bit. Freedom will be a recurring theme in this service. We want to recognize that today we're just into July, and on Tuesday is July 4th. And so it is an opportunity for all of us to recommit to the building of freedom in our communities, and that will be, as I mentioned, a recurring theme through the service. Nolan, do we have the slides for the story? This is a beautiful new book by Sarvinder Naberhaus and illustrated by Kadir Nelson, both immigrants to the United States, and it is called Blue Sky, White Stars. Blue sky, white stars. Blue sky, white stars. Red rose, red rose. White rose, white rose. Red, white, and blue. Old glory, old glory. Sea waves, sea waves. Sew together one nation. Sew together one nation. Well worn, well worn. Woven together. Woven together. All American, all American. Stand proud, stand proud. Rising up, rising up. Fly high, fly high. Freedom. Red, white, blue, sky, white, stars. Forever. Thanks. Would you please join me in reciting the Children's Covenant. In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved. We'll now receive today's offering.
Oh, no, we won't.
Is it time for yeah, sorry, it's on this document,
Yes.
I dropped you.
Press
Shayla, take it away.
press
Hold your
the
money in
pause
abeyance.
button. Press the pause button. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shayla Sloper, the Congregational Life Facilitator, and I have today's announcements. And I just want to say, I thought that story, the Time for All Ages book, it really touched me very deeply. So I just want to say thank you, wherever Dirk went. There you are. Yeah, anyway, that was quite lovely. So welcome, everybody who's on Zoom, who is here in the sanctuary. There are a couple of things that I want to acknowledge one that I didn't say last week, and that was just, again, a very special thank you to those who hosted members of the Eugene Gay Men's Chorus. I do feel like this is going to be an annual event, and there was just so much love and celebration on Sunday, and the members of the chorus say they really look forward to coming to Bend. So I think our hospitality and welcome is particularly palpable for our guests. And so again, thank you for those who open their home. And for those who are on Zoom, if this is your first or second time and you want to let us know that you're here, you can fill out a visitor information form, a virtual visitor form, and that way you can sign up for our ACE, our all congregation email. And also for those who are here, you can sign up for the ACE at the visitor table, also at the newcomer corner. But today is a special day. As the first Sunday of the month, we invite those who are new or new-ish to UUFCO to meet for a newcomer welcome. So we try to do this once a month in the Founders Fireside Library. And so we'll just give an overview. Members of our Connections team will give an overview of the congregation and probably find some ways for you to get connected, if that is your wish, to find out what is going on here. So there are a lot of things that have sort of quieted down for the summer, including circle suppers. So those are going to be now on hiatus until October, and then other things will start up in the fall as well. But I also did want to acknowledge that this week there were 2 events that were available at last year's auction. And so I just want to plant seeds in your mind right now for auction items. The auction we'll have in October, but there was a house concert featuring Beth Wood, the daughter of our members, Ann and Bob Wood. And then last night there was haiku in the garden at Jody Grossman's house, and it was really lovely. So these are opportunities that you make possible for folks in the congregation to enjoy together. So be thinking about what you might want to do for next year. I also want to acknowledge that we're halfway through Reverend Scott's sabbatical and want to make a real special word of thanks, not only for the worship team who has just been working double time, triple time to make sure that the summer is covered with interesting opportunities like today, but also for the sabbatical task force, Marion Jordan, Bob Barber, and Susan Kinney, who are also really, you know, the yoke is on their shoulders and they're keeping the plows rowing. Yeah. The rows plowing, something like that. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Next Sunday is our Nourish Produce and Perishables drive. So if you have surplus from your garden or protein things that you would like to bring that will go to our food banks in town, that would be next Sunday. And then there's a couple of other really cool things next Sunday. So Tom Wykes, who is here this morning, is going to be speaking on Buddhism, and he invites you to a conversation, a discussion after the service. So be thinking about staying a little longer. The discussion will be in Linus Pauling, but we also have, drum roll, our first settled minister was the Reverend Heather Ryan Starr, and she's going to be in town next weekend. We anticipate that she will be here with us. And I just want to say that for those of you who have come into the health and sort of flourishing of this congregation, it wasn't always this way. And in 2004, the congregation got a consulting minister who came over once a month. Then there was that same person would be here for quarter time, and then Reverend Heather was hired out of seminary, and by the time when she left us, she had both seeded really strong visions that we now enjoy the fulfillment of, but she also had become a full-time settled minister, and so that was the first in this congregation. Imagine the worship team doing what they're doing for 50 years prior to that. I mean, that's what they were, it was a lay-led congregation. So that'll be really exciting to have her here. And lastly, I do want to say that cheat grass awaits your eager hands to pull. And because it's summer, blessings on your day.
Thank you, Chela. We'll now receive today's offering to support the programs and ministry of this congregation. Through these gifts, we strengthen our bonds of our community and nourish the possibilities of the future. If today is your first time with us, you are welcome to pass the basket. Your presence is a gift to us.
העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, כל העולם כולו, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. והעיקר, והעיקר, a song, it's actually was a saying from Reb Nachman of Bratslav, who I believe lived in the 18th century. And by the way, in case you couldn't tell from my last name, I am from a Jewish background. And I lead the the small Havarad there in Florence. I came to town about 3.5 years ago and met up with them, and they said, do you read Hebrew? And I said, yeah. And then they said, can you lead services? I said, yeah. You're it. But for purposes of today, I am a Unitarian.
Good morning. My name,
I should translate what that meant. I meant to do that because it was in Hebrew. The whole world is like a narrow bridge, but the important thing is not to be afraid. Now I'm done.
my name is Ellen Adkin. I'm a member of the pastoral care team. Information about our team is found on the kiosk, and one of the ways we connect in loving community is sharing in times of joy and in times of sorrow. Thich Nhat Hanh has said, I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering, to cultivate compassion and loving kindness, and to practice joy and equanimity. As we enter this time of sharing these joys and sorrows, please feel free to light a candle in the trays on either side of the sanctuary for the ones that you are holding in your heart. Terra Peles has a joy, much joy for my dear father-in-law, Bill Matthijs, who turned 96 last week and is one of my favorite people in the world. Wonderful. And I hope I did justice in those pronunciations. Rosalie and Jack Chamberlain, our friend's son, 4 years old, has a rare brain cancer. He is in treatment to stop it. Treatment for that age can cause cognitive and development impairment. His name is Alexander Brown. We'll extend prayers for Alexander. And they also have another friend, Elizabeth Yandel, in treatment for cancer. Robin Johnson, my high school friend, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's last week at 51. This was not the plan for life, but keeping him in my thoughts. Allow these words to linger in your heart and spirit.
For our time of prayer and meditation, I have a reading from Reverend Maureen Killeran. Spirit of life and love, I come before you, black and brown and red and yellow and alabaster. I come longing for the simpler days that truly never were our lot, and I am an American. Hear these voices, as in the complexity of our days. I am humanist and Christian, Muslim and Jew, pagan and atheist and Buddhist and UU, and I am an American. I am one who fought for my country, and I am at the same time one who protested war, and I am an American. Amongst the division of our days, I've struggled in poverty, and I've accepted the profits of wealth. And I am an American. I am an owner of weapons, and I am one who would control our nation's guns by limiting the who's and the what's and the how's. And I am an American. As light is shone on our divisions, I live with often unacknowledged privilege, and I am moved to rage at the complexity of intersecting oppressions, and I am an American. In the challenge of our days, I am one who supports my country, right or wrong, and I am one who claims the traditions of dissent, and I am an American. In this polarized season, I am Democrat and I am Republican. I am libertarian and I am independent. I am green and I am confused, and I am an American. Spirit of hope, sit with us in our diversities. Help us hear one another in our divisions. Grant that, beginning in this community, we may honor one another's truths. And know that a just and faithful tomorrow begins here in our hearts. For with all our problems, with all our pain, with all our limitations and mistakes, we are Americans. For the sermon portion of this service, we're going to do, Mark and I are going to do an interview. And so we'll hear a little bit about his background. But before we get into it, I want to just say, as a member of the house band and a member of the worship committee, it has been a treat to work with Mark and to bring him in and to just be witness to the tradition that he comes from in his art. So welcome, Mark. It's great to have you. For 50 years, over 50 years of singing and playing for social justice.
I was 2 when I started.
I'd love, especially if we've got any parents in the congregation today, how did your call to music begin?
How many hours do we have? Well, I came from a singing family. My mom, who incidentally will be turning 96 in September, she sang opera for many years. And despite that, I still like listening to it. But I come from a musical family. My grandparents sang, my uncle sang. It was a extended family because my father left when I was very young, but I'm told that he also sang and played music, even though I never met him. So it's in the genes. As far as using music to communicate a social or political concept or environmental, I remember hearing Pete Seeger very young. My uncle played those records, and others, Joan Baez, and I'm sure this is the same for quite a number of you, if you were around in the 50s and 60s like I was, that their music called attention to problems that we have and directions that we might go. And I latched on to that very strongly, as you probably can tell. So starting with the Civil Rights Movement and then into the Vietnam War era and through Central and South America's turmoil, and the environmental issues. Today I write songs about climate change and produce programs in Florence on that issue. It's just looking forward. I mean, looking back and looking forward. This is something that is a very Jewish concept, that I don't think it's exclusively that. We look back and we see where we came from, not always happy with it, but we look forward to see what we can become and further that effort. And I try to do that with my music and my comedy when I'm called to do that.
Nice, thanks, Mark. I have a quote from an American hero, Paul Robeson, that I'd like to share with you and would love to know what it brings up for you. I shall take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom or the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of despair and fear. My weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail.
He's right on. And I'm from that area, not too far from Philadelphia. He was from West Philadelphia. And he traveled the world with that message. He was one of the first American performers to perform in Russia during the Cold War. And for that, he was roundly criticized. And unfortunately, even though he was an accomplished singer and an athlete, an actor, just about everything he did, he excelled at doing. And as a black man and someone coming from a left perspective, he was not honored as much in his time as he should have been. And unfortunately, he died in poverty in West Philadelphia. I have friends who lived right near there. In fact, I dated a woman who lived right near in that neighborhood. And it was very sad, but I think we take his message seriously. We go on with the work, and then we honor him in that way.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Can we pause for a song?
I can do that.
All right.
So as everybody knows, and I know your congregation is engaged with the homeless issue, it's only gotten worse as the economy took a downfall during the pandemic. And that goes over there. And then this, thank you. Credit with an assist. That's good. That's good. Guitar doesn't like the hot weather either. Living on the coast, this is very different. Living on the coast, I remember we were, this has nothing to do with the song, but except for buying a home, which I was finally able to do after 70 years. And Debbie said, my wife, she said she wanted to live around more people, and so she wanted to live in Eugene. And I said, are you sure? Because, you know, it gets to be over 100 degrees there, and way over 100 degrees, actually, in the last few years. And so I took her to Florence. And I said, I think you'll be happier and healthier here in Florence. So every day that it's 110 out this way, I turned to her and I go, aren't you glad that we moved to the coast? I'm not saying this doesn't happen. I mean, we're loving, I mean, I'm enjoying it. She's having trouble with the heat, but I've been here before, not to this particular location. There's a lot of people who don't have the luxury of having a roof over their heads, and I wrote this, when did I write this? I think in 1985 or 6 or something like that. A lot of my songs that I write are kind of political satire, and 75% of them go out of date, like about presidents and such. And the other 25% I wish would go out of date, so I wouldn't have to sing them. This is one of those. Now I sympathize with the homeless when I see them on the evening news. Somewhere there must be a place where they can park their weary shoes. Maybe a camp in the country or a building on the edge of town. Without shelter there across the street is only gonna get me down. 'Cause everybody should have a home, everybody must be fed. Everyone has a right to a roof and below it a nice warm bed. We applaud your noble gestures, efforts at... All right, let me get the words. Maybe so. It was a long time since I wrote this, and as I said earlier, it's early, so we'll just edit this part out. Okay, so let's start with the chorus here. It goes like this. Everybody should have a home. Everybody must be fed. Everyone has a right to a roof and below it a nice warm bed. We applaud your noble efforts at guarding their collective healths, and will gladly give you funds and food long as you can put them somewhere else. You see, I don't want to have to lock my door to be inside safe and sound. This neighborhood will go to pot with the likes of them around. It's no fun out there in the cold. Yes, I know just how they feel, but I just can't bear to see a hungry face when I'm eating a nice warm meal. Oh, everybody should have a home. Everybody must be fed. Everyone has a right to a roof and below it a nice warm bed. We applaud your noble efforts at guarding their collective healths, and will gladly give you funds and food long as you can put them somewhere else. Now I've got a friend who owns a store about a half a block away. Every year she donates goods and money to United Way, but she thinks it's bad for business to have the homeless walking by. She says, why not send them south for the winter so they can stay warm and dry? Oh, everybody should have, everybody must be fed. Everybody must be fed. Everyone has a right to a roof. Everyone has a right, and below it a nice warm, and below it a nice warm bed. We applaud your noble efforts. We applaud your noble efforts at guarding their collective health. At guarding their collective health. And we'll gladly give you funds and food. And we'll gladly give you funds and food, long as you can put them. was for comic relief. So please understand our position. It's not the way it looks. We want them housed, but out of sight. There are zoning laws on the books. Long as we can clear our conscience and preserve our civic pride, we'll give our consent, even pay the rent on a place where they can hide. Oh, everybody should have, everybody must be fed. Everybody must be fed right to a roof. Everyone has a right below in a nice warm bed, and below in a nice warm. We applaud your noble efforts. We applaud your noble at guarding their collective health. At guarding their collective health. And we'll gladly give you funds and food. We'll gladly give you funds and food, as long as you can put them somewhere else. That's hard to do. Line it ahead with all the words. Pete Seeger once said, you know, I like your songs, but they're too wordy. So then I wrote a song that only had 2 chords, and I'm not going to do it because, well, we talked about it. I'll have to do it when I come back and do a concert. Like how I snuck that in there. One more time. Everybody should have a home. Everybody must be fed right to a roof. Everyone has a right to a roof, and below it a nice warm bed. We applaud your noble efforts at guarding their collective health. So we'll gladly give you funds and food, long as you can put them somewhere else. Yes, we'll gladly give you funds and food, long as you can put them somewhere else.
Thanks, Mark. And you slayed the yodel. Well done. Well done. The homeless shuffle is cutting, though. I mean, I think it's a great message. As Unitarian Universalists, we're called to good works, the development of our own personal theologies, toleration of religious ideas, the authority of reason and conscience, our never-ending search for truth. And what calls you to do what you do? Or as a folk singer, tell us a little bit about your theory of action. Why bring a song like that?
Well, I have to do something for a living. It's not that great of a living, but it's, you know. Yeah, I just, should I say, I just suck at everything else. So, it's not quite true, but I decided that this is what I enjoy doing the most and that I do the best. And so, make a go of it. See if I can work it out. And 48 states and 10 countries later, I'm here. And I think folk music has always been a good medium for delivering a message because it's a little easy to catch on to the words and the melodies, and some of them are sing-alongs. That last one wasn't really a sing-along, but I tried to make it one. And it's, you know, my great influences like Pete Seeger, well, Tom Lehrer as well. You remember Tom Lehrer? He lives in Santa Cruz. I lived in Santa Cruz before I moved to Oregon. I lived there for about 45 years, and I would run into him on occasion. I think he's around 95 or 96. We'll Google it later. But yeah, he once said that I gave him one of my records when I met him at UC Santa Cruz, and the record was called "Take Off Your Clothes." It was about the Middle East, believe it or not. I think I have it with me back there. And he said, don't give this to me. He said, I'm not in that business anymore. I can't help you with yours. And I said, oh, no, please, you misunderstood completely my intent, which was to prove conclusively that your music had the corrupting influence my mother feared. So he liked that. It was a good jumping off point. And, but he stopped. He stopped writing in, I think, 1975, after Henry Kissinger won the Nobel Peace Prize for ending the Vietnam War. Lehrer said that was too much to top, and he threw in his piano at that point. What was the question?
Your theory of action as a
Oh, the
folk singer.
Theory of action. Well,
What calls you to do what you do?
yeah, I'm, I like to address gatherings like this. Sometimes, not as amenable. I mean, not as in agreement as you folks generally are. I think music is good when you're at a protest and instead of just chanting over and over again the same thing, which that has a place, that you get a song in there and get people singing and try to have some fun while you're changing things. So that's kind of, I guess, my theory. I hope it works in practice.
Great, thanks very much, Mark. Mark did mention a little plug for a concert next time he's in town, which we'll work on arranging. But he also has CDs and LPs. He's got swag at the in the meeting hall back there. So during time for coffee, Mark will be there, and please help him lighten his load for this trip back to Florence. Mark, could you lead us in one last
yeah.
song? Great.
I don't need that mic for this one. Well, we were talking about folk music, and there has been confusion and disagreement about if a song is actually a folk song or not. Like that song that I just sang, that I wrote, by definition, it can't be a folk song because we know who wrote it. And folk songs are supposedly carried through tradition from generation to the next. Though a lot of us have taken on a folk idiom and written our own songs. Well, I have Big Bill Brunsey was once asked, if you don't know him, he was a blues guitarist and singer. He was once asked if his blues songs were folk songs, and he thought for a minute and said, well, I never heard no horses sing them. I think that's as good as a definition as. But I did write a song in Sing Out magazine. How many people are familiar with Sing Out magazine? It comes out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, I think is where it is. Mark Moss was editing it for years. He put this in there because they were having a raging debate as to what actually constitutes a folk song, the requirements and all that. So I wrote this to answer that. Come listen now, I ask you friends to ponder this with me. What constitutes a folk song and its authenticity? I'll tell you now the answer and not keep you in suspense. To end this controversy, please allow me to commence. To be a folk song, it must tell a story from the past, but have a chorus 5 words long or it will never last. The writer must be dead at least 100 years or more, unless it is anonymous, in that case 300 or 400. The tune should be traditional right down to the last line, and have a lilting melody or it's not genuine. It must originate from somewhere no one can pronounce, and should be cataloged by Child. He was the guy that put numbers on him. Or I don't think it counts. It must be simple yet profound and singable by all. But if it is from Georgia, you must sing it with a drawl. The words don't have to make much sense like fi-de-diddle-dare-o. So long as it is sung with gusto, no one's gonna care. Oh. The tunes and words must always scan so singers can rehearse. Although, of course, it has to rhyme 4 times within each verse. The key's not so important now, of this I must admit. So long as every note is one, a 12-year-old can hit. To qualify, it must be more than 7 stanzas long, and preferably sung by one much younger than the song. The subject of the tale may meet a terrible demise, but you know you're on to something real if everybody dies. The order of the words can tortured be the whole song through, but please be sure to sing them like they say something to you. And if it's a translation, it must rhyme at any cost. Yes, even if the meaning has been compromised or lost. The song should tell of life and love and times that are long gone, but have a lasting meaning for today that will live on. It should not be political, nor bring a body doom, with notable exceptions like Jack Tar or Shularoon. I'll explain that later. But if you use an instrument, it must be made of wood and light enough to carry, or it won't do you no good. In no case can it be electric, need I even say. So anything that must plug in should just be thrown away. So now that we are all agreed on what folk songs comprise, we all can sing a song together, knowing it complies. We have eliminated some. Let's see, what does that leave? Thank you. Obviously, I have a looser definition than that.
Thanks, Mark. I'm wondering if we could lead us in a congregational song?
Okay. Yeah, so this is the closing song?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Great. So if in body or spirit, if you guys would like to rise and join us in number 1032 in the Teal book, Dauna Naish.
Nobody has the book ready, right? It's okay. It's in Arabic. It was written in Arabic. Whoops, I got unstrapped again. So let me tell you a little story about this song. A friend of mine in Arizona, who's credited in the Teal book, it's in that supplement, for writing the music to this. Here's the, oh, yeah, okay, good. Actually, that's too low now. Oh, I know what I did. I put the wrong one on there. I'm really strapped. Okay, so let's see if we can get that. You want to put that on there here? My faithful servant. The Iraq War was just about to start, and an Iraqi teacher who was doing, I don't know if it was a sabbatical or whether he had some kind of a position at one of the Arizona schools, and I always get that wrong. It wasn't ASU in Phoenix, but it was in Phoenix, and he wrote the words to this in Arabic, and my friend Ted Wormbrand in Tucson put a tune to it. We get together, a lot of us musicians do that, And I realize this is a longer introduction than normal for this particular part of the service, but I thought you should know. We trade songs, and I was down there in, I think it was 2003, as the U.S. was gearing up for shock and awe. And at the end of our session, Ted said, oh yeah, and then there's this. And he sang me this song, Dauna Naish, Let Us All Live in Peace. I went, you waited till the last minute of our session to sing that? I need that song. So I recorded him, and I put a very strange tuning together for singing it. But it has a descant. And a descant, Our Dreams of Peace. So I'll sing that, and you can sing that through the song. I've translated it into Hebrew and into English, but you can sing Our Dreams of Peace. It would be like this. Wait a minute, this is a little bit in the way. All right, there we go. Okay. By the way, this tuning, if you know open tunings, you know Dad Gad is an open tuning on guitar. Well, this is Dad Gab, which is Baghdad backwards, and it came out in the key that Ted sang it for me, just by coincidence, if you believe in coincidences. So that's why I bring two 12 strings, so you don't have to wait for me to tune the other one. Our dreams of peace, 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 our dreams of, keep going, our dreams, Dauna Naish, Bisalam, Dauna Naish, Biaman, Dauna Nenzish, Ahlam, Dauna Namu, Bisalam, dreams of our dreams. Ten lanu lihyot, B'shalom, ten habitachon, B'shalom, Chalomot, Nitzrot, Liachad. Ten lanu lamot, B'shalom, dreams of peace, our dreams. Please let us all live in peace. Let us be safe, safe in peace. Let us weave our dreams as one. So that we may live and die in peace. Our dreams of peace, our dreams of peace. Alam, salam, alam, salam, shalom, 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 shalom.
unison reading of our covenant as we extinguish the chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I'd like to close with a reading by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Good afternoon. Thanks, babe.
Hi,
Hey,
my name's Fred. I'm
how
a
are you,
visitor.
Fred? Nice.
You know,
Welcome.
I thought you said one phrase that really made my morning worthwhile
Yeah.
is that life is a narrow bridge or something close
Yeah,
to
wasn't that good?
But the thing is, it's a bridge as opposed to a cliff or a hole.
Yeah.
And you could really expand on that, and like a bridge would be education, for example. And so, anyway, I thought that was
Wasn't
really
that
a
good?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. So
Yeah, I like
well,
that
thank
too.
you.
That we hadn't had that conversation about that before the service. I love that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks, Fred.
You bet.
Hey.
Hey, I would love to know, or get a copy or find out how I could, of that wonderful piece that you did about I Am American.
Yeah.
I sent it to everyone in my family.
Do you want? You know where I found it is on the. It's a 4th of July meditation on the UUA site.
I know
So
how to do that.
that'd be easy to find.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really,
On point, isn't it? I know it. I was well, I'm not
especially when
getting
you've
out
got,
of
you know,
this.
everybody in your family, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Marty. Thanks.
Ted, I would like to take the flowers. Do you guys have flowers?
Probably not tons.
Well, if you have tons, don't, but,
Yeah.
these are from my garden.
Oh, lovely.
And what I want to do is give them to someone, but I want her to give me this, and I'll be seeing her so she can bring this back.
Yeah.
I'll see if she wants to take it. But please do. They're really, aren't they pretty? I mean, really. So take it and tell her. I'll get the vase because it was my grandmother's at our
Okay.
next week, which is
Gotcha.
coming up.
Gotcha. Okay, so we can take it with us for now. Thank you, Marty. We'll take care of those. Thanks.